Hey everybody, my name is Susanna. I'm the creator of Be Good to Yourself Health, the blog, the Facebook group, and the Instagram following. Today's topic is on being fat. And I was initially going to go through and kind of walk you through my life and what my experience of being fat for most of my life has been. But after this last week of trying to write it out, I have spent 2 days trying to video blog this on my downtime. Um, it turned out to be like an hour each, so it's too much right now, and I need to figure out a better way to get through this. But I do still want to cover the topic, and I want to talk to you about what this group means to me. So being fat my whole life it has dominated my whole life. I've been an overweight person since I was a smallish child. I would say seven or eight is when I really started to pack the weight on. I held a lot of personal shame about being an overweight person. I grew up in a household where my mother was fat shamed, even though she was never fat, ever. When she was a kid, when she was a young adult, she was never a fat person, but she was fat shamed by her father, and all of her sisters were as well. And so that sometimes got projected onto me unintentionally, and I wanted to really underline the unintentionally part. It was my mom loves me and I love her, and I think what happens sometimes with moms or with dads, parents in general, is that they don't want to see you in pain and they don't know how to handle hard situations and hard conversations. And it's a catch-22 for them. If you bring it up in general, either way you're a horrible person. So I just want to really make that point. But I am an internalizer, and I always have been. I don't, until the last few years, I have never been a communicator. I don't talk about my feelings. It was never really okay to really talk about your feelings in our family. We all bottle it up. My dad's like that. My mom's like that, or was like that. My mom's much better about it now. But it was really hard to bring shame upon your family at such an early age. And it was made very clear to me at an early age by not my immediate parents, but by other people in my family that it was not okay to be fat. So, as a side note, on top of being fat, I had a learning disability that I didn't know about until I was 20 or so. So I also thought I was stupid. And then on top of being fat and stupid in my mind, I was weird. Um, I never really connected with people. I had a few friends in grade school and high school that I really connected with, but most people just thought, "Oh, that's Susie. She's sweet and she's kind and nice and that stuff, but she's kind of weird when you actually talk to her." And I am, and I embrace that. That's something that there are very few things nowadays that I embrace about myself. My weirdness is one thing that I embrace. I'm out there. I'm a big thinker, and people don't follow that a lot of the time. But that made it just that much harder to live life as a fat person when you have these other things where you are also weird and also, in your mind, stupid. So that was really hard to go through, and I went through it most of my life until I graduated from high school. Really, I had a few suicide attempts that I don't think my family really knows about, but I did, and I had extreme depression, which was caused by my self-loathing and self-hatred. I battled with anorexia when I was in 8th grade. In 7th grade, I think it was 7th grade, we found out that I could sing, like I could legitimately sing. And when that happened, the pressure was on to be perfect. And nobody put that pressure on me. Another thing I want to be clear about, absolutely nobody put that pressure on me. I put that pressure on myself because my expectations for myself versus what my expectations are for other people is 10 million times higher than anybody else in my life. But I felt like if I was going to be in the public eye as a soloist, I needed to also be thin. And so I decided I'm not going to eat at all during the day. I'll come home and eat a small meal and then do that. And I lost a ton of weight doing that. I finally was down to a somewhat normal size. And, you know, I was praised. What are you doing? You know, I would lie and say, oh, exercising or eating vegetables or not overeating or whatever, you know, and really I was starving myself. So I battled eating disorders on both ends of the spectrum, and that not eating, overeating thing really dominated my life. I would find ways to limit my calorie intake to the point where I was basically starving myself, and then I would go back to overeating, the overeating addiction, and gain, you know, twice the amount of weight that I had lost. And that has been pretty much my journey my whole life up until pretty much a year ago. You know, the self-loathing is still there, but I'm working on it. I'm very grateful to be with a person, in a relationship with a person right now who is first and foremost my best friend and my support system, but also a person who's shown me that my body is not something to be ashamed of. And I'm trying and learning very slowly to embrace that and believe it. You know, that's the hardest thing about being fat, is trying to believe that you're worthy and trying to believe that you have a place in society, especially because our society shames fat people so hard. And the worst thing you can be in our society is fat. You know, you can be what society considers ugly, but as long as you're thin, it's not that bad. You can be so many other things, but as long as you're thin and that thing, it's not that bad. Being fat in society's eyes is the worst thing you can be. And that's so stupid, because you know what? 60% of the population is overweight. And you know what? That number is wrong, because it's numbers that our government have pulled, and their numbers are almost never correct. I would put it closer to 70%, if not higher than that. So that the being fat and trying to overcome body hatred and trying to be healthier and trying to focus on health versus on my body is what brought me to create Be Good to Yourself Health